Cary Clack, please.
Thank you, my brother Rudy, Sister Zette. It's always good to be here. Can you hear me okay? Uh, First of all, thanks to Rudy and Zette for creating this boat. For all of us on these different ships together. And you keep the boat growing, you keep the boat strong, you keep the boat afloat, which is very difficult these days. But thanks for all you do. Thanks for everyone here. I'm not going to be up here too long. I was supposed to have been here January 25th, 2 weeks ago, because that was the same weekend that Arctic front was coming in. And in the days leading up to January 25th, I was on that on the text thread with Zette and some of you, wondering if the weather was going to cause us to be canceled, and of course it was. And that's just stayed on my mind that weekend and over the past couple of weeks, that we were concerned about the advancement of ICE. We were worried about the presence in our streets, in our community, of ICE. Because we're not used to these kinds of conditions, we didn't know what would happen should we be confronted with ICE. And many of us stayed in that weekend out of fear of ICE. And throughout the nation, many people were staying in because, of course, that Arctic front hit everybody, hit them much difficult than us. And that was why so many of us were at home that weekend. That's that Saturday before we were supposed to gather when we saw what happened with Alex Freddie, which is the same thing that we saw happen 17 days earlier to Renee Good. And it's remarkable that just 6 years ago, we saw a man die on the streets of Minneapolis. And so many of us were watching because of COVID. We were all kind of locked in. And then 6 years later, you had the same thing happen to another man. One was black, one was white. And frankly, that's some of my family and African American friends. You know, we've said to ourselves the last couple of weeks that God, you know it's bad because they're killing white folks with cameras. They don't even care. These are some very dark times, but what's amazing about George Floyd and what's amazing about what's going on in Minneapolis right now is the response. There's this incredible darkness that's just covering this nation, and especially just centering in on Minneapolis. And yet you have all these people, someone read earlier, pushing back the darkness with the light of resistance, with the light of nonviolent resistance. And it happened 6 years ago with George Floyd, and at that time it was the largest mass movement in American history. And I think that still is. But it didn't sustain itself. And there's something about what's happening in this moment, and I may be completely wrong, but it does seem that there's something that's happening which is going to sustain itself. And through all these uncertain times that we're in right now, through this darkness and this fear, what's happening is what I don't think this administration expected to happen, is that people are finding their voices, and they're finding their courage to raise their voices. And it's so difficult so many times, especially in these times. I know people always want to compare difficult times to difficult times of the past, and you can always find parallels and comparisons. But I don't think there's ever been anything quite like this time. Even during the civil rights movement, for all the violence that the protesters faced throughout the South, it was all coming against the state government. The federal government was helping, was trying to help. We're in a situation now where it's coming from the federal government. And we always have to make that distinction between a particular administration and the government, because it's those who are out in the streets of Minneapolis, those who are in this boat on Donaldson Avenue right now, we're the ones who are the true patriots. We are the ones that are adhering to the ideals of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We're the ones who are affirming our belief in humanity and are refusing to let agents take our neighbors away. It's one of the more inspiring things I've seen. I'm 65 years old, so I grew up as the civil rights movement was happening, but with no recognition of what was going on. I had to read about it, and I always wondered what was it like to be in that time. And now we're in that time. Some of you were in that time back then. I'm not saying some of you are old, but some of you, I'm old, and some of you are a little bit older than me, so I say that with love. But we're in that time now where, people used to always wonder, well, what would I do if I was around then? Well, we're going to find out what will we do. What are we going to do to continue to push back that darkness? One of my favorite novels is The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, and there's a part of the novel where this priest is talking to a woman who's identified as the woman of little faith. And he's making the distinction between imaginary acts of love and real acts of love. And imaginary acts of love are, we imagine something that's grand and heroic, like people, we're walking down the street and we see a building on fire and we rush inside and we save, children and people, and we bring them out, and television cameras are there, and everybody sees us. It's like, with Superman, everybody sees us rescuing people. That's the imaginary. That's what we, when I was 7 years old, when I dreamed of being Superman, that's the kind of stuff that I dreamed of. But the priest says, then there's the true acts of love, which are tedious, often unrecognized. I mean, if that building's on fire, then a true act of love would have been somewhere down the line, someone have check you with code compliances. If there's children and a single mother up there, then a true act of love is helping that mother and that child to get the assistance they need. A true act of love almost always goes unrecognized. It's not in the headlines. It's not on the mountaintop. They happen in the valley. And the priest's words to the woman of little faith was that very rarely do we have the opportunity to commit an imaginary act of love. But every day we have countless opportunities to commit true acts of love in our daily lives and the people we interact with. And as I close, again, I'm thinking of the weather as a metaphor. Is that 2 weeks ago we were worried about ice. We were afraid of ice. Ice has gone away. Ice will go away. 2 weeks after what scared us. 2 weeks after the things that kept us at home and off the streets. We have 80-degree sunshine weather. We're going to always have those things that are going to scare us. But maybe the last 2 weeks, we can find some hope that in knowing that however cold it gets, however dark it gets, the light, the radiance of true acts of love will melt those things away. Melt those things away, melt them into the sea, and just give us more water for this great boat to float upon. Thank you very much, and thank you, everything.
So I invite you to just breathe those words in. Breathe in the wisdom of Cary's talk. To take a deep breath together and feel the power and the possibility of love. Feel the possibility in daring to live and to love outrageously and courageously. With your eyes open or closed, just become aware of yourself just the way you are in this particular moment, in this particular body. Right here, right now, in this room, surrounded by these people, and feel yourself present in your body, knowing that you are so much more than your body. And breathe in slowly. Breathe in calmly. And take your time. Love is infinite. Love is limitless. Love is timeless. And center your focus on your chest and your heart beating. And notice as you breathe into your heart, into this physical center of your body, that you're also breathing into something so much bigger. Something spiritual and emotional and energetic, right here, right in the center of your physical presence. And won't you feel the magnificence of who you are? And won't you feel the possibilities of each act of love, each opportunity to express your love, seen or unseen, known or unknown. Knowing that each act is your expression of who you truly are. And breathing in again, simply notice. Notice the calmness, the connectedness, the community created here, and accept and be willing to share that. As you step out of here today, as you go to the grocery store tomorrow, as you walk into the doctor's office next week. Yes, there is a great deal of violence and inequality and injustice in our world. And it's up to us. It matters. You matter. We each matter. So feel that love flowing in and through you out into the world, beyond the walls of this room. As we allow ourselves to acknowledge that deep place within that is love, that is peace, that is justice and equality. And feeling this and so much more, we ask, we invite that all blessings may shine upon all. That our willingness to do this, to be here to gather in community, lifts up and supports all beings. And for this, for so much more, we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is.